loneliness before I knew what it was. I saw the pills on your table for your unrequited love. Oh, I would be nothing without you holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Don't hide your emotions. You can throw down your guard and feed from the notion we can be who we are. You taught me something, yeah. Freedom is out. It was you taught me living it. Togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. A very big good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. We are really super excited to have you join us today for the Valuable 500 What's Next live stream and to share our plans with you for phase 2. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet yet, a huge hello from me in my bedroom here in the UK. My name is Chris Wooding, and I've been Caroline's assistant, along with being her singing and dancing partner for nearly 12 years now. So just to describe myself, I'm a white male with blondish brownish hair, with a dark brown beard, wearing a pink t-shirt, and I'm sitting in front of a beige background. I know many of you will recognize my name after having me popping up to schedule many calls and meetings between you, Caroline, and the Valuable 500 team over the last couple of years. So on behalf of myself and the rest of the Valuable 500 team, a massive, massive thank you for all of your support during phase 1. Before I hand you over to the stars of the show, our founder Caroline Casey and our CEO Joanna McGrath, I just have a couple of housekeeping items to raise with you all. To ensure our session is fully accessible, we have international sign available and captions in 4 languages: English, Japanese, French, and Spanish. You can choose which stream you would like to view using the labeled tabs. Please share your questions you'd like to ask in Slido in the Q&A box, which can be found below the stream window. Please note that we are only able to take questions in English in the English stream. If you need to view a stream in another language and would like to ask a question, please email claire@thevaluable500.com. Claire's email is also in the confirmation email you would have received when registering for today. Once again, thank you so much to you all for joining us. I'm now going to hand you over to Caroline and Joe.
Chris, thank you so much. Yes, my singing and dancing partner for many years, for sure. So I am Caroline Casey, for those of you who have not met me or heard me. And I am the founder and the troublemaker behind the Valuable 500. Now, in our opening slide there, you saw welcome and hello in every language but my own, which is Irish. So from beside my bathroom, I say Díagwich to you, which is hello in Gaelic. I'm just going to take a moment because this is a really big moment for all of you and for me and the Valuable 500 team. This is not us just coming to you to share phase 2, but it's also to recognize a very unique moment in time and in history about something that has been accomplished that is going to have long-lasting change. It has been a dream, a lifelong dream, and it feels like I've been working to this moment for 20 years of my life. 21 years ago, I finally came out of the closet about being registered blind, where I'd been since I was 17 years old. I was working for Accenture at the time. Now, that coming out of the closet resulted in me doing a big trip across India on an elephant. And at the time, I was trying to raise money, and not one business in the world had disability on their inclusion agenda. Can you imagine that? And actually, when I did that elephant trip, I really understood the scale of the disability inequality crisis. And when I came back from my elephant trip, I couldn't go back into Accenture. I wanted to be part of the solution. And for me, from the outset, it has always been business. It has always been you. But something very unusual occurred today. Somebody sent me a text message. Today is the 20th anniversary of the day I came off India on my elephant and came home. And there's something really magical about that, because today is the day that we reveal this extraordinary community that we have created together. That song, I Am Giant, breaking all the boulders underneath my feet, is a beautiful song. It's so upbeat and it's so strong and it has so much determination. The only thing that's wrong about the sentiment of that today, it's not I, Caroline, am giant. It's we are giant. We are giant together. And I start this by saying thank you. And I ask every single one of you, wherever you are in the world, take this moment for you. This is your moment as much as it is mine. And when I say that it is not I am giant, none of this work over the 20 years, nor over the last 2.5 years of the Valuable 500 is ever achieved on your own. We stand on the shoulders of many giants. But I am so proud today to introduce you to our CEO, Joanna McGrath, who I call Jojo, who I am lucky enough to have been working with us for the last 2 years. And I have to say, I'm often asked what is the proudest moment, and often the proudest moment are the people that choose to work with you. And this woman has been a friend, a mentor, a co-conspirator, and we would not be here without her. So over to Jojo.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. Thank you. And it is a magical day. I think just that 20-year anniversary popping up this morning just touched us all a little bit, didn't it? I think in the team. But a huge hello, everyone. Huge welcome from me as well. I think over the past 2.5 years, I will have met very many of you individually, but it's amazing to have so many of you joining us today for this webinar. We are beyond excited to be sharing our next stage plans with you all. If I haven't met you, my name is Joanna McGrath, and I am the CEO here at the Valuable 500. I'm a white female. I've got longish curly brown hair and black glasses, and I'm sat in front of a pale grey wall. It has been my absolute pleasure to be working with Caroline and the team at the Valuable 500 since the movement was launched at Davos in 2019. And we've got this amazing hour together. So we want to tell you everything that's going to be happening next. But a huge thank you from me as well, because I know from personal phone calls, personal emails, personal interactions, how much work has gone into all of you being here today, all of us being this amazing community. It has taken thousands and thousands of micro interactions from all of you. So thank you.
So what we're going to do now is talk you through what you've created together with us, and before we launch phase 2, because let us not underestimate this moment. And I say this truly, this is the biggest move for disability inclusion made by CEOs in the world ever. And those CEOs coming to the table didn't come just easily or of their own accord. They became here because of you. And when we set out to do the Valuable 500 and launch it from the main stage of the World Economic Forum, I'll be really honest, they said we couldn't do it. Now, 20 years on from my elephant trip, disability was part of the inclusion agenda, but they still said there is no way that you will be able to get 500 of the world's most influential CEOs and brands. But we did do it. We did do it, and we did it in really fast time, less than 2.5 years, because of you, okay? And before we move on, this is you. I know the CEOs are important. It is everything we wanted to do to ensure that we got the attention and intention of CEOs, but you did it. You got it. And for the generations for coming, we hope with the power of this community, we will radically transform business system. This is your moment. In your job today, take pride, because as of today, we are the Valuable 500, transforming disability inclusion through you business. Now, before we move on, I want to say we have about 33 companies vying for the last 16 places. And so the full amount or the full names will not be released until May 18th. We are giving you, the community, the preview of what is going to happen in phase 2, because this is yours and you created it. So it'll be a kind of tender hooks to see who will be the 500. And for now, I want you to sit back and smile. This is a bit cheesy, but that's okay, because I think that what makes the Valuable 500 just that bit special. Right at the center of what we do is heart. So here is your history. At Davos 2019, we put disability inclusion center stage for the first time and made a worldwide call. So this is a crisis, but there is a solution to help end the disability inequality crisis by putting disability on the global business leadership agenda. One influential CEO stood with us, Paul Polman, along with Virgin Media, Omnicom Group and One Young World. Together, we launched the Valuable 500 and asked 500 of the world's biggest business leaders and their brands to join.
500 companies, let's make it possible. Because difference is about humanity.
I'm so proud that Virgin Media has joined the Valuable 500.
All great leaders need to do the right thing by their people.
We need to make our organisations far more accessible and open to difference. We need to celebrate those differences.
Leaders with the ambition and influence to transform the global business system, shaping a society that includes everybody.
I do everything. Sometimes for better times, but always so close in the most.
And now we have reached our milestone of 500 CEOs, representing over 20 million employees in 35 countries. These include some of the world's most influential organizations. Each and every one of our CEOs has committed to working together to bring real change. What began as a campaign is now a system change community, powered by the Nippon Foundation and supported by the World Economic Forum and the International Disability Alliance. This community of global pioneers will now work together to future-proof business, the economy and wider society.
I am on a mission to ensure that nobody gets left behind.
Together, we believe that everybody has value, everyone can be capable, and no one should be excluded. Thank you for joining us. Disability is our business. And disability is our business together. Now, I said in that film that one CEO stood up and with and for us, and that was Paul Polman. So my journey into disability business inclusion began 20 years ago on an elephant, and the valuable 500 and the finding of our chairman, Paul Polman, resulted in me riding a horse across Colombia to the main stage of One Young World. This man stood with us on that date, the 6th of October 2017. It is because of him we conquered the main stage of the World Economic Forum in 2019. He has given his support, his care, his love, his network to every single minute of making us be here today. And we are proud for this man to stand with us until our job is done. Here is our chairman, Paul Polman. Well, I could try and fill in what Paul Polman is saying.
You saw the benefit of tapping into the 1.3 billion people with disabilities and their $8 trillion spending power. You understood the power of creating an environment where each and everybody can develop to their fullest potential. And you understood the imperative of creating an inclusive economy that works for all and does not leave anybody behind. The demands on CEOs are enormous, and not all challenges can be solved alone. That's why you belong to this courageous collective. Not only to share and learn, but more importantly, to drive the needed systems changes, so we can change the face of disability once and for all. It is in our collective power to do so. We cannot stop until we translate the valuable 500 into a valuable world for all. And that includes the 1.3 billion people with disabilities. Let's now use our collective forces and change the system for the better. As the African proverb goes, alone you can go fast, but together you can go far. Now is the moment to go far and leverage our collective weight and change disability into possibility once and for all. Thank you very much.
And if there's one man who knows how to transform business systems, it is this man who brought in or part of leading the sustainability movement in business. And so we could not have a better chairman. I'm absolutely thrilled he will be with us right to the end. He knows every company name and every CEO, and he pushes us. He wanted the valuable 5,000. I told him we'd like to have a life. Anyway, I want you now to see the figures that you have created and just to take this moment, because look at what you have built with us. We have broken the global business leadership silence on disability inclusion with these figures. We have 500 board level commitments. We represent 20 million employees, and these employees come from 35 countries. And we represent 64 sectors. And we have the power of 500 global supply chains representing 8 trillion in revenue. Now that is business influence. So what are we going to do with that? Yes, we reach this community, but what can we do now? Well, with this unique timing after COVID, we, with this power and influence together, are going to hack a global solution like no other for disability inclusion. It's our moment and our time. And our ambition is nothing less than audacious. We are going to radically transform the business system to create an equal and equitable and inclusive world for people with disabilities and their families, which represent 70% of our global economy. So, why business? Well, we all know why business, but let's remind ourselves why you are the most important people in the room today. Well, business is what we believe in. It touches every single moment of our life. We work with business, we buy from business, we create with business, we supply business. Philanthropy comes from successful business. Business is in every part of our lives. It is the most powerful force on this planet, and the scale of the disability inequality crisis cannot be resolved by charities and governments alone. It needs to be done by business in a way that makes success and sense to business, which it does. But business isn't just the answer, because lots of you have already been doing this for years. Many of you for decades have been great solutions. So what was the missing piece? Well, the missing piece for us was these people, the women and the men who are the CEOs of our businesses. We know now that business leaders are possibly the most powerful leaders on our planet. They can make change happen in seconds, moments, hours that politicians have to strive years for, even if they do. We know in the shadow and the light of a leader. We know that you can't get the resources to scale the change you want if you don't have the attention of the leader. We know that we can't change the business systemically without the leadership. And that was the missing piece. But that's not all. It's not enough just to have the CEO back you. If we want to have that system change that is our audacious ambition, we needed something more. And that's this piece, which is you. We needed the multiplier effect. We needed 500 of you. No one company or one CEO or one business can drive systemic change, but 500 could. With all those figures that we read out, the multiplier effect of all of you and your power and your influence, you can make the change happen together, collectively, safely, backing each other. And for those of you like me who don't see, this is a slide with, it's like a whole load of fireflies, right? And if you can imagine a firefly lighting up a dark sky, not one firefly could do it, unless it's a very, very, very big firefly, but 20 million fireflies could. And that is what is your unique magic. And we know now that the CEOs, this multiplier effect, yes, that's fabulous, but it's the multiplier effect of your CEOs supporting you within the business, because it's not just the CEOs. Yes, we wanted the CEOs to support you because you are the magic fireflies, the 20 million of you, and we wanted the CEOs to invest in you. So we have created something so unprecedented and of its time. And here is your USP, because it's the collective global influence and scale of you 500 companies and your CEOs. And that is incredible. And so we've built this community together. That's made history, and we could stop now and still know that we've had change. But why would we? So why don't we activate and innovate together as a community? Why don't we come up with a plan that we could actually scale that change? And we have. So we've come up with a plan, and that plan came from you. It was designed by you and for you and with you, because you told us what you needed, because we had this unique focus group of all of you to tell us what were the barriers from the top. But most importantly, we had the access to ensure that this plan would be supported and it was meaningful for the disability community, a community to which every single human being on this planet will be part of. But today, this community says this is a plan that works. Now, I want to go very quickly through our timeline, which got us here. So if you think that we're crazy enough to do this, well, we are, but we've proof of point, because look what we've done in 2.5 years. We launched in Davos on the main stage, no special stage, in 2019. A year later, we came back, main stage again, with 250 CEOs. We came back again at the end of January for the Davos Agenda virtually, announcing the Nippon Foundation, the World Economic Forum, and the International Disability Alliance Partnership. More on that later. And as of the 30th of April, we had well more than 500 CEOs. And so to this day next week, the 18th of May, we make the public announcement of who the valuable 500 are. And the game-changing plan to drive system change. Welcome to phase 2. Jo, off you go.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. So indeed, welcome to phase 2, everybody. And as Caroline said, phase 1 has been about us building a global movement of 500 CEOs and asking each of those CEOs to commit to one action. So that's for CEOs in charge of 2,000 people, CEOs in charge of 100,000 people, no matter the size of the organization and no matter the size of the action, whether small or large. We've created this amazing melting pot of businesses and CEOs that are committed to driving change. Phase 2 is about all 500 of us moving as one to effect change together. We have spent the past 2 years talking to thousands of companies. So in achieving 500 signatures, we must have spoken to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 companies, call after call. And Caroline, as she said, has spent a lifetime, well over 20 years, talking to CEOs, talking to C-suite teams about the blockers to the system when it comes to disability inclusion across business. We've heard the same topics come up over and over again. No matter the geography, no matter the sector, we've seen the same themes come up in global organizations and in national organizations. And we have used this information as an ongoing global focus group to inform our phase 2 strategy and plan. And this is a visual of our transformation program, which we are incredibly excited about. Our transformation program focuses on 6 impact areas. So we have the C-suite, we have culture, we have customer, we have reporting, we have research, and we have representation. On the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see the 3 internal drivers where CEOs directly impact their own organizations. So that is their C-suite teams, the leaders that they choose, the culture of the organization and the people that work for them, and of course their customers, so the products that they're making and the services they provide. And that's obviously across both B2B and B2C companies. And then on the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see the 3 external drivers where our CEOs could potentially stand together as a group of 500 to collectively influence the system through the lens of disability. So that could be in the way that they collectively report on disability activity, the way they collectively research the space of disability, and the way that people with disabilities are collectively represented in their marketing, both externally and internally. So we have designed solutions within each of these 6 impact areas to answer the challenges that we've heard our companies talking about repeatedly, that we've heard you talking about repeatedly, and that we have heard the disability community talking about repeatedly. And the exciting news is, or some of the exciting news is, that these initiatives will be financed, they'll be created, they'll be developed, and they will be tested by 13 of your peer companies from within the Valuable 500. Meet the iconic. Oh, sorry, yes, drum roll.
You've got to do the drum roll.
Oh, wobbly death. But meet the iconic leaders. So the iconic leaders are a group of global CEOs and their teams who will be working with us to create the signature initiatives and drive system change for people with disabilities. And here they are on screen. So I'll give you a moment to take those in. But we have 13 global CEOs and their companies that will be working with us. And we couldn't be more delighted to share with you today the names of the organizations who are going to be co-funding and co-creating with us in phase 2. So we've got, as you can see here, some amazing brands, all amazing brands. We've got the global CEOs of Sony in Japan, of Mahindra in India, of Omnicom Global Communications, Verizon, of Sky, of Salesforce, and most recently of Google. They signed just 2 weeks ago as one of our iconic leaders. I mean, these are huge global giants. Procter & Gamble, Allianz, Deloitte and EY, the London Stock Exchange Group, and we've also got the Director General of the BBC. We're very proud of that, Caroline. So it's an amazing, amazing group.
Yeah, and I think we need to say, well, we thought a year ago, well, we'll call it the iconic 10. And I think this speaks to the moment that we're in right now, right?
Yeah.
To have 13, it's just unprecedented. So very proud.
And you'll see we have some companies in the same sector on that list, but we fiercely believe that disability inclusion is a space where competition needs to be set aside for the sake of progress. Every single one of these leaders has committed to support us on our phase 2 journey to make businesses more inclusive for people with disabilities. And that's for their employees and for customers through the end-to-end value chain. So now you know the names of the companies that are going to be supporting us. I'm going to take you through these impact areas and the business solutions that we are going to be working on one by one. Starting with the C-suite. So the challenge that we have heard from you repeatedly around the C-suite is that there's ongoing leadership silence when it comes to disability, that we need visible role models at the top of business with disabilities and talking about disability. Caroline mentioned, and you've seen that we've had Paul Polman talking about disability on his platform for the Valuable 500 and beyond over the past 2.5 years. But imagine the noise we could make if we had 50 Paul Polmans, or if we had 500 Paul Polmans. We want to change the narrative around disability and leadership through the power of storytelling to open up this conversation. So we will be working with all of our iconic leaders to share their stories around disability, both personal and business. And we will be encouraging our other 487 valuable leaders and their C-suite teams to share the stories as well. And from a future C-suite perspective, we will be building a next generation group of 500 leaders with first-hand experience of disability, which we will be calling Valuable Minds. And what is unique about us is that this talent will come from our 500 companies, and we will then be running a reverse mentoring program with them back into our CEOs. Culture. Okay, so the two challenges we have heard consistently in the people space over and over are, number one, how do we get an accurate read on our employee disability data? And number two, how do we attract and retain disabled talent? Barriers around employees identifying as disabled, whether physical or invisible, and navigating the different legalities and legislations across markets for global organizations. So we are very excited to announce that we will be working with Deloitte and with Google on a global exercise to gather employee disability data across our 500 companies. We will also be working with Mahindra and with Salesforce on a methodology for valuable 500 companies to more easily recruit people with disabilities. Customer. So there are lots of innovations happening in the disability space around the world right now, but not enough, not nearly enough. How can we as businesses get better at making our products and services inclusive and accessible? Well, we are going to be launching into that challenge with Procter & Gamble and with Omnicom, and we're going to be working on a customer experience audit to help all of our companies identify both the blockers and the opportunities for disabled customers to purchase. We will also be working with Verizon in the space of accessible technology to scale their Teach Access program beyond the US. Teach Access is a collaboration between a number of technology companies in the US, well, global companies, including Verizon and Google, who are our iconic leaders, but also Facebook, Microsoft, and Apple, among others. And they have been working with universities in the States to equip next generation students with accessibility skills. So we will be working with Verizon to connect those accessibility experts of tomorrow with the businesses of today. Reporting. So disability data is publicly very limited, as we all know, and often completely excluded from both internal reporting, such as annual reports, and external reporting when you look at the global indices. We believe that if we want to genuinely drive system change, then we need to collectively understand where we're starting from. And we want to encourage public disclosure of corporate disability data from all of our companies. It's a big ask, but it is one that we are going to be asking. We'll be working with the London Stock Exchange Group, with EY and with Allianz to build a framework for both internal and external reporting of disability metrics. Research. So as a lot of you will know, the most recent global report into disability from the World Health Organization was back in 2011. That's 10 years ago. So we are often referencing data that is very old, it's very out of date now. There's just not enough global research being done in the space of disability, and we want to change that. So we will be working with EY again and with Sky on building a global listening tool to uncover insights from disabled consumers around the world and to share them back to our companies through insight reports. We want to hear the views of the global disabled community, and we'd like to start by asking them for direct feedback on our 500 companies. And then finally, representation. The world presented in advertising and the media should reflect the society it serves. But as I think we would all say, there is a huge gap in representation when it comes to people with disabilities. And that's both in front of and behind the camera. There isn't a global data metric on this due to lack of global research. But to give some context, in North America, less than 3% of characters seen on screen have a disability. So we will be working with the BBC to set a new visual standard for representation of people with disabilities. And we'll be working with Sony to build a media hub of creative assets and creative resources for our companies and their agencies to use in their marketing communications. And we will be starting work with our iconic leader companies and their teams on these business solutions later on this month. And there will be a phased rollout in terms of delivery starting at the end of this year. So that is what the iconic leaders will be doing, but what will the rest of the community be doing? And this is the point where I introduce our Chief Partnerships Officer, Crosby Cromwell, who is here with us.
Waving next to herself.
Hi, Crosby.
Hi, good day, everyone. I am Crosby Cromwell, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. For an audio description, I have long red hair. I'm wearing a blue and black sweater. I have skin that will always burn in the sun, and I'm coming to you from my Washington, D.C. apartment. So Joe and Caroline, thank you for giving me the time to talk to our partners. You've heard as we've gone through the webinar about our deep belief in the size, scale, and power of business, as well as our deep belief in the power and possibility that lies within this collective. But at the heart of all of it is our relationship with you and the relationships we hope that you'll build with the other companies. And that's on us to foster those. Over my past 2 months with the organization, I've had the opportunity to speak with many of you. And I've heard and been blown away by your enthusiasm, your thoughtfulness, and the ambition you have to drive disability inclusion further into your businesses. And that's where phase 2 begins. And we, the Valuable 500, step in to have your backs within this process. We'll be bringing you resources, connecting you to solutions, and putting you in the middle of conversations that matter as you drive this forward within your business, and as we move this, all of this, with the impact that will come from it, forward together as a collective. Please know that we are here for you as a resource. We look forward to working with you, to getting to know you. I am Crosby at thevaluable500.com. We will be reaching out, but you can reach out to us at any point. And with that, the work begins here. So Joe, I'll stop waving and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. I like you waving. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Crosby.
Okay, and then on to the next slide. Okay, and then in addition to that, so Crosby's talked a little bit about how you'll be connecting with events. We will also be connecting the community through a gorgeous new home. We are building a fantastic digital platform to connect you, our fantastic global community. And this is going to be a place for the teams, for you, the teams from our 500 companies to connect with each other and to share the work being done in the disability inclusion space within your company, in your market, across your sector. We really want this to be a thriving hub of activity. The brief to the agency was one login that will give you 499 sources of information. We want this to be a space for our companies to share and to ask questions and to help each other. And this will launch August, sort of end of August, beginning of September later this year.
Yeah, but what was the other brief we gave them? How did we want it to look and feel? Because I think that's also true. We wanted something really different.
I said I wanted it to be Beyonce meets the Super Bowl meets
Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidson Motorcycle Club. It was quite the brief. But this is a 3-year transformation program. We are all on this journey together, as Caroline said. In terms of what success looks like, when we've talked about success as a team, from our perspective, success looks like any one of you, your companies, committing to this journey with us and finding any one of the solutions that I've talked through useful in helping you to be more inclusive for people with disabilities within your business as employees or as customers. But if we're talking about system change, which we are, and if we're talking about successful system change, which we are, then it really means all of us being on this journey together the whole way through, and all of us working to shift that dial together over the next 3 years. And this community has already done a great thing in finding one another, in working together over the last 2.5 years to form. It's actually done one great thing 500 times. And in doing that one great thing, we have repeatedly broken the leadership silence around disability and come together. And every single one of your leaders has given their personal signature, which has been no mean feat. I know lots of you have come back at different times and said, well, could someone else sign this? Could the chairman of our diversity council sign this? And we've been so strict on, no, it has to be the person at the very, very top of your business that signs this. And that's what has happened. We've had the personal signature, the personal commitment of CEOs and leaders to take action on disability inclusion. And our vision, our ambition is that once we get to the end of our 3 years in 2024, that we will have a suite of these amazing business solutions that all 500 companies will have tested and proven work, that we can then launch out to the rest of the business community. And then we can kind of carry on innovating with new products and solutions to kind of keep that beautiful momentum going. Our belief is that the change that we can all make together if we all work together is going to be magical, and we are incredibly excited to be on this path together. And I'll pass back to Caroline.
Well, I think the reason that we talk about going to the rest of the world is we're not going to be selfish. Once we get this right, then we go open source and we spread amongst everyone. Look, success looks like this is no longer a conversation. We move from niche to normal. And success will have a lot of KPIs and targets. Here we're giving you the magic, but we will have targets that we will work to be fully accountable. And the next slide, I think, for me, captures something very special. For those of you who are vision impaired like myself, there is a video, and it's actually called a murmuration. Now, I learned it's a murmuration of starlings. I used to think it was swallows. But when you've ever seen something like that, it's like watching the symphony of nature come together, and it's spectacular. Joe has talked a lot about micro moves. Every one of the moves that you do as a company, when brought together collectively, is a mega move. So aside from the things that you'll do individually as companies over the next 3 years, we'll bring you together for collective moments, for these murmurations in the sky. You know what we've done? We've actually created a tipping point. You know that you've just created a community that actually on the 18th, everybody was going to be trying to get into. This is yours, but it will only be successful if we each give into it together. We innovate together, we fail together, we try together, we cheer together, and some of us more louder than others at different times. But this is the contagious moment that what we do and we create. And right at the heart of this community is the soul of this team that have made this happen. And it's intelligent magic. And that might seem like an oxymoron to you, which it kind of is, because everything about the Valuable 500, its spirit and its power, come from this duality that we bring, and something that's very unique. We have not left one or other of our sides at home. Our even logo with the very harsh side of the V and the heart of the Valuable 500 shows that we come into this with the head and the heart, that we come in with the pragmatism of process and frameworks and plans, but with the hope and the heart and the magic of humanity. We come in with the stats that we need and the data and the stories. That's what was missing before. We are all human beings in business, and we all want the best for anybody. And I don't really believe people are bad and business is around human beings. So what happens if we bring the power of both? And this intelligent magic is dictated through several principles. We love our alliteration, by the way, you know, our C-suite, our customers, and our culture and our representation, our reporting and our research. Well, here is 4 more. So these are the principles. Intersectionality. We do not believe disability inclusion is more important than anything else. Not at all. I'm a woman and I have a disability, and I also happen to be Irish. So we come up in many labels. There's not just one. And inclusion is all for everyone and everyone for all. It has to mean everyone. And that means to have the broadest view of inclusion. We hope to see corporate cultures which are universally inclusive. We believe in the power of the next generation. And we've seen that when Joe spoke about galvanizing 500 of the most talented young people who are currently working in your companies and exposing them to the CEOs to help the CEO understand. We know that conversation and interaction is what makes change happen. And this younger generation, and I say this, my sister and I, when we grew up, we didn't see people like us in the world. And so we didn't know that you could thrive and survive and be proud. And now we're talking about disability pride. And that's something that we need to sprinkle right across our business. We also know that we have to talk about integration. Standalone solutions are not fair on you. They are expensive and time consuming. So we are here to help integrate disability inclusion to the systems, to the ideas and the success of what you've already done. Integrating right across your business. And interconnectedness is the last principle of the I's. This is not about the CHRO. This disability inclusion, infusing and integrating into the business, is across your supply chain in every function of the business, architecting from the ground up. We are all responsible, not just for disability inclusion, for every inclusion, because it does deliver to the bottom line. The last 2, collective collaboration, we've spoken about already and we've said enough, but this is really about rising the tide for everyone. The Valuable 500 was very careful not to come in and compete in the space. It wanted to open more doors for more organizations who are passionate about disability inclusion to work with, and you have proven that. Now, the last one is the most important of all. We are also frightened of failing, and we are also frightened of getting it wrong or causing offense. And that fear has often stopped us moving forward together. This community has a rule, and it simply says it is really okay that we fail. It is not okay we do nothing. And if we're going to innovate, we're going to mess up, and that's okay too. You don't need to know everything or anything, but you have to do something. And therefore, this community needs to be a place where we make it safe for all of us to try. Now, we have a very big ambition, and Paul Polman and Omnicom and Virgin Media and One Young World, they got us to here. Now look at the plan. So with such a big ambition, we need to have a big support mechanism, not just for us, the team, but for you. And so what we bring around you is an ecosystem like no other. You're going to be introduced to the Phase 2 partners. You've already met your iconics. You will be introduced to the advisory board, our system supergroup, and our collaborators. Now, this is some of the best news you're ever going to hear. On the 29th of January, we were delighted to announce our Phase 2 partners. They include the International Disability Alliance, and that is to ensure the work that we do delivers and works in complete conjunction with the disability community, because that's what we are here to do. But we're also doing it through the power of business, because we believe that disability business inclusion truly is one of the greatest blind spots in business opportunity. And the World Economic Forum gives us a rare network to which we can work and continue to spread the work that we're doing. You've heard about the Iconics, but up here in the left-hand corner is the Nippon Foundation. On the 29th of January, we announced a 5 million investment from the Nippon Foundation, supported by the Japanese government. This is the singular biggest financial investment into disability business inclusion ever made. This is a testament to you, the community. It is a testament to the plan. But what's brilliant for you and for us is that this money will, in near completion, pay for our team. And that means we will never come to you and ask you for membership fees. We will be able to release what resources that you have so that you can pay for the expertise to scale the great ideas you already have. And that's freeing up resources that you desperately need. And so I am delighted now to pass you over to Ishiro to give you 2 minutes and listen to the first 2 sentences. I love this, and I really respect and admire, and I'm so proud of the Nippon Foundation's partnership with us.
I am very happy and excited to announce we have 500 valuable companies and are able to move to the next phase. Investing $5 million in a 2-year-old social enterprise was not an easy decision for the Nippon Foundation to take, but we took it because we believe the Valuable 500 can become a fundamental game changer, transforming the way people with disabilities are supported and revolutionizing disability inclusion. The Nippon Foundation has supported persons with disabilities and pursued the goal of a diverse and inclusive society for over 50 years. For instance, we created a deaf education system in Vietnam, enabling deaf children to study in sign language from primary school through to university. It took 20 years. We developed programs to train local prosthetic and orthotic professionals to international standards in 6 Asian countries. This has taken 30 years. We have worked with NGOs, governments, and international organizations on these projects. But missing has been business, the most powerful and influential sector on the planet. The Valuable 500 has taken up the challenge of bringing inclusion commitment into the global CEO community, not based on the concept of social welfare, but strengthening the economic benefits of employing people with disabilities. This is truly a new approach. 500 of the world's leading companies assuming a leadership role in disability inclusion, which we believe will give birth to fresh thinking and lead to new solutions to global issues. We sincerely hope that together with you all, we will be able to achieve a better world by using this new platform, the Valuable 500, to the fullest extent.
And believe me, this, Mum, I know you're listening. Yeah. Now we can eat. I think people always thought the Valuable 500 was super funded. It really wasn't. So this was a huge moment for all of us. But that investment financially is being nearly 2/3 met by these iconics that Joe has spoken to you about, not only financially investing, skin in the game, but giving their expertise. And that ensures that we really have the expertise and the support of philanthropy and business. Now, the next group, which is in your ecosystem of support, is our advisory board, chaired by Paul. And this group have one task: be tough on us, the team, the Valuable 500 team, to ensure that we serve you, the Valuable 500 community, to ensure that everybody is accountable to the work that we set out to do for the disability community. Joe, will you go through the names just in case, because I can't see the slide, and in case I leave anybody out?
Of course I will. So we have Paul Polman, obviously our chairman, and Sadia Zahidi, who is one of the managing directors at the World Economic Forum, Ishiro Kawasawa, who you've just seen from the Nippon Foundation, Jeff Dodds, COO at Virgin Media, who has been one of our big sponsors for phase 1, and without whom we wouldn't be where we are today. We then have representation from business leadership in Natasha Muller, in Rosalind Blair, in Neil Milliken, and in Catherine Garrett-Cox. And then on the bottom row, we have Eddie Ndopu, who is one of the UN ambassadors, We have Greg Nugent, who is the producer of Rising Phoenix, which is the amazing Netflix program about the Paralympics. And we have Rennie Manfredi, who is one of the Special Olympics athletes.
Every single one of these advisory board members, like our team, has a direct connection to disability. It's at our heart. And our job is to be accountable and never, ever get comfortable in what we have set out to achieve. The next group is the Systems Supergroup, and this is chaired by the International Disability Alliance. The function of this group is two-way. Number one is to stress test our strategy, always ensuring that we will meet the needs of the disability community and be that conduit between the disability community and you, the business community. But we know you as a business operate in a broader society. Many of these global institutions have their own strategies and ideas around how we can advance disability business inclusion, or just disability inclusion in general. We believe that we need to work together to support those initiatives those organizations are doing, and work together, not dividing our time and our energy, not recreating the wheel. So I'm going to ask Joe to read through those organizations who are part of our Systems Supergroup.
Yeah, so we have the ILO GBDN, we have UN Global Compact, Special Olympics, GAAD, the World Health Organization, UNESCO, Global Citizen, Project Everyone, One Young World, who Caroline mentioned were one of our big sponsors in phase one, IAAP, World Bank, and the International Paralympics Committee.
That's some big group. And you can see how the ripple effect of all of us collaborating together can really, truly drive that system change. It's a moment where we take the tension and the friction out of the system and try to build for our own collective good. And very lastly, all of you in business know that you are not disability experts, business experts. You're not supposed to be. And our job has been to make sure, certainly in the phase two, is to bring to you the best in class around the world. Wherever you are in the world, the vendors, the subject matter experts, or global business solutions that can help your business become better. Because we as the Valuable 500 are not here to compete with any organization, but to bring you the best as we help your leadership know how important it is. We worked with 8 expert partners in phase one, and we have over 100 collaborators around the world. We will be releasing that directory of what we believe are the best in class when the Digital Hub will go live towards the end of the summer. And here we come to the end, but last but not least, and this is where I know I'm going to be emotional, because this is the powerhouse, and this is the team that most of you who will have talked to, one, many, or several of us. I said at the beginning, there is nothing more that makes a founder or an entrepreneur more proud than the people that choose to work with them. This is truly to this beautiful, amazing team who I'm so proud of. Some people here have been working with me for decades. Some have only come on 3 weeks, some 2 months, some have been with us for 2.5 years from the very outset. Every single one of this team is committed, passionate, connected to disability, and connected to business in a way that I think is uniquely special. What I love about every one of this team is the heart that they have brought, that they never walked away when it got too tough, that they were always about how can we do this together. I want to call out Richard Poston, our Director of Strategy, Crosby Cromwell, who you've met, who was waving and talking to you earlier on, Claire, who many of you probably know, Director of our events, and who's helped us speak 1,000 times in 1,000 ways and being the powerhouse behind today's webinar. Chloe, who was joined as our Chief Marketing Officer. She's with us 3 weeks. What a baptism of fire, and it's fantastic to have her. Maribel, who is working with us from the Lebanon and is in charge of social media. Sarah, who is our Director of Operations, who makes sure that we actually do the business of business. Chris, who you were introduced to, and there waving is Karis Miller, who every single one of you desperately knows, who is now our Head of Marketing. And so here we are, our team, to serve you, to make the history that we are about to do. So the challenge is big, and we know that. And as we come to a close, I want to ask you 2 things. One is the preview that will be made public on May the 18th, and we announce the final 500. I often think I wonder what companies will be looking at and going, I missed that, like the fifth Beatle. But the second thing is to say to you, this is your moment of success. Take it, own it. Because even if you could understand the amount of companies that are knocking on our doors in the last 48 hours, you got there first. You were the ones who jumped and took the risk. On Thursday, we'll be sending out a toolkit for all of you to go out and shout about what you've done to make that history. Please use it and please be in touch. We're here to help you. Because the challenge is big, but we can do this. And it can be done. We've done the hardest part, which was building this community. And this next phase can be done. It's about will and intention and timing. Now, we have the plan. You've seen it. And this is your plan. It's what you wanted. But we've more than a plan. We have possibly the most powerful part of all, which is the 500 shortcuts to change. That is you. And we also have with that 13 iconic leaders and the partners that we have to bear. And 500 companies and the powerhouse of your supply chains. So for now, thank you. And for now, know that today you have committed to something bigger than has ever been done before. And this is our business together. And this is our time. And we will build back better, leaving no one behind. For the first time in the world, we will build back with people with disabilities. And a huge thank you to you all. I need to acknowledge, before we close off, the extraordinary partnership of Attendable, who have done our webinar here with us today with Claire. For my clear text, could not recommend them more, and Interpreting Matters, thank you. And I don't know if we have time for question and answers, but we will get back to you. But I just want to say thank you. And over to Joe or Chris.
Well, Chris should be coming on. We've probably got time for a couple of questions.
Yeah, we can definitely squeeze a couple in. Hi, Joe and Caroline.
Hi.
Welcome to the hot seat. Okay, so we've had a good few questions come in, and as Caroline and Joe said, we actually have run out of time, so I'm going to squeeze a few in, but if I don't read yours out, please feel free to email claire@thevaluable500.com and we'll make sure that we get back to you. Okay, so Joe and Caroline, do you have any plans to extend the 500 into more companies?
Very quickly, this is one everybody asks. Look, first of all, Joe said it, we talked to over 5,000 companies. We're going to give you your moment in the sun. We are the Valuable 500 together right now. However, we have had a lot of pressure to potentially extend this group to 500 plus, and that will be left to you as the community and the iconic leaders who will be meeting with Paul, those CEOs, at the UN General Assembly in September, and that is first on the agenda.
How are you guys going to ensure that all 500 companies will make change happen?
Joe?
I'll take that. Well, I mean, the evidence that we've seen so far is not that the companies what will make the change happen, it's how much change companies want to make happen. So we've had at least one action from all 500 of our companies. We've had those signatures from the CEOs to say that change will happen within that organization. We've now got Crosby on board, who will be helping to facilitate this amazing plan across our community. And really it's about us all staying in touch and being connected as this kind of living, breathing murmuration of companies to kind of make that change happen together. It's going to be about us working together rather than us making sure things happen in that way.
And I think the 20 million employees, they're there, and we're seeing that companies have already exceeded their commitments. We're trying to keep up with our next one, so that has not been our concern. And but I really believe the honor of a CEO writing that commitment and employees holding to account and social media, I think that is not a concern for us.
Okay, guys, well, sadly, I think we're at the end of our hour, so I am going to sashay away and leave Caroline and Joe to say goodbye to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's much more really to say. I know that I am going to probably go and have a big gin and tonic. It's okay. It's that time in Ireland. But I really want to say today, thank you, but I want you to take that moment for yourself, every one of you. Thank you so much. For me, as one of the 1.3 billion people who have lived experience of disability, I could not be more proud today, and I'm very excited for the next 3 years.
Thank you so much, everybody.
understood loneliness before I knew what it was. I saw the pills on your table for your unrequited love. I would be nothing without you holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders, tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am a giant. Oh, I am a giant. Don't hide your emotion. You can throw down your guard and feed from the notion we can be who we are. You taught me something, yeah. Freedom is out. It was you taught me living it. Togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders, tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am a giant. Oh, I am a giant. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll the weight in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw the weight in the dirt, yeah.